Well, first of all, it's no fun to see an army in retreat. They have half conceded.
On both sides. So did
He has joined us.
I have not conceded. They have already conceded that the judicial activism in where the law is not implemented or the law is not properly implemented, all these concessions have been made.
Activism, that's
now,
judicial functioning. That is not activism.
You're one second.
All right, therefore,
the point is,
he's accusing you of misrepresentation.
I am talking about judicial activism. The only time it compromises executive functions is when it impinges on what is executive discretion. Not when it corrects executive mistake, not when it directs executive action where the law mandates. Judicial activism is not.
It is a well-established principle that discretion,
executive powers,
no discretion is
Mr. Swami is
unfettered.
taking the easy way out.
No, there's no
Swami,
easy
you
way out.
are taking a very easy way out. All you are doing is saying, look, when the executive has broken the law, should the court not interfere? We don't need Dr. Swami to say that.
Yes.
We could have anybody saying that.
Yes.
Now, I want to hear Dr. Swami say,
yes,
should the courts interfere when it's a pure discretionary matter for Parliament
to decide? I will tell you the court
under
should.
which provision?
I will tell you that.
Let him
okay,
can
I answer?
You will. Okay, he's conceding to you under which provision?
Former Chief Justice.
Easily.
One, Ariman, I would like to say this, that if the action is totally arbitrary,
right,
yes, the court can and should intervene.
I have no quarrel with that.
Yeah. Secondly, I would like to answer one question which Arnab asked, which I think got left out. What is the secrecy around appointment of judges? I think he is justified in raising this issue.
Thank you.
And it should be more open and transparent, having gone through the process both by being selected and selecting judges. I'd like to say it should be more transparent. But secondly, always the question comes, why does it take 20 years in India? Do you know the judge population ratio in India is much less than many African countries also? And even then, there are certain high courts who dispose of more cases than that are filed. So if supposing 1,000 cases are filed in a high court, maybe 1,200 cases are disposed of, but past areas cannot do
just
anything.
a little bit, but do you know the vacancy ratio? Do you know the number of vacancies that exist in the courts today?
That's a very stale argument. We can say that about all organizations, including police. Police also.
Arnab,
so but the point made here by Mr. Kaul was...
Can a mandamus be issued by the court to fill the vacancies in the judiciary? It would not. It would not. Certainly not, because that is within a certain manner of acting. The judiciary appoints in the manner that it has appointments take place. But if tomorrow, could any court turn around and direct a court appoint judges?
No, but they can ask why you have not. They can ask why you have not done so.
No.
The unfettered discretionary power is not permitted in our constitution.
We are coming to the core issue.
Therefore, even in discretion areas, it has to be a reasonable exercise of discretion. You can't tomorrow decide that I'll have this project going to the middle of the town. There's a discretion. You can't say that's policy. I give you an example where the Setu Samudram project was decided and they came to court to argue that this is policy. We showed that there were alternative ways of doing it much better. And the court had intervened, and that's how the whole thing has been stopped. Therefore,
then what is the purpose of a parliament? What is the purpose of people going to vote?
Good question.
If parliament, if what you're saying is there is no doubt that we have very, very learned people sitting as judges, there is no doubt that we have very erudite, very people of the greatest integrity who are the judges. But the point is, the whole concept of parliament is that people vote a representative. These are people who are answerable to the people. You may not be happy with the choice of the members elected. But when people have reposed their faith in them to take that decision, should that decision be taken by somebody else who has not been voted?
Mr. Sundaram, this is something that was decided during the Constituent Assembly debates in 1948 and 49. The founding fathers of our Constitution framed this. They gave a certain degree of primacy to the judiciary over the two organs of the state.
Of course they did.
Next you say I'm taking a position since you said Article 142 gives a unique and extraordinary...
141 and 142.
Yeah, gives a unique and extraordinary part of the Supreme Court to do, if I'm not mistaken, the Honourable Justice can correct me, to do complete justice
Yes.
The court was to do complete justice in any matter that is before.
And I'd like to
Let me clarify.
I'd like,
No, am I-
Arima, it's
no,
my
am I
turn.
quoting the law
No,
wrong?
you're
Mr.
quoting it
Sundaram,
wrong. You're
Mr.
quoting it
Sundaram,
wrong.
it's my
To
turn.
do, one moment.
Mr.
To
Sundaram,
do
it's my turn.
complete
Don't interrupt.
justice, just
Don't
let me
interrupt.
finish this. To do complete justice in any cause between the parties.
That's what
It
happened.
does not mean that you just take up any cause and say, I want to do complete justice, I want a metro put down the...
What a pity
right
I
through
couldn't
the
shut
center.
him up the way I could in court. Now, I want to say something. I want to give you an example of the way the judicial activism, even lawmaking, has helped the citizens of India. You know Vishaka judgment. It filled in the legislative gaps till the legislature steps in. Today, sexual harassment of women in workplace can be looked into in public bodies. Now, there was no law. The Parliament was not interested in enacting law. The rights of women to live fairly and with dignity were being violated. The Supreme Court has laid down guidelines which does amount to judicial lawmaking, but it is beneficial judicial lawmaking. It is there till the legislature steps in, and the legislature, unfortunately, from 97 has not
Is yet to
stepped in.
step in. Is yet to step in, I agree with you. But my point is, do we not have a huge area of grey? Which is why I said lack of consistency. When I started, I said there is a lack of consistency because we have a huge grey area.
Yeah, I
This
agree
is
with you.
beneficial judicial legislation. This is not beneficial
I
judicial
don't see any
legislation.
grey area
How
at
do we
all.
have judicial
Because
legislation in the first place?
Please, from what we have heard till now, so long as they function within Article 19, 21, 30 odd, etc., and 142, it's conceded except in one case under reference. You've not heard any other case in 60 years. They have gone beyond that. What is the dispute about that? That is a question arising.
Justice Mudgal just gave
don't
one
see
more
any
example of a beneficial judicial legislation. Justice Mudgal just gave another
new.
example.
Gentlemen, you're
Something
arguing-
new.
They were guidelines, not
something new.
legislation. Here the lawyers speak because they are paid by the hour, so they speak for 10 days.
I think the longest arguments in the 2G case were by Mr. Swami.
No, but judges are not paid per hour for listening.
We are debating this today because of what the court has done in so many cases. It's broad-based. Has the increasing assertiveness / activity / activism of the court made the political and bureaucratic class very insecure? It's made it extremely insecure. It has made it realize its own flaws in case after case. Does this side have an equal answer to that very basic question? Let's not get lost in articles and,
Not at all.
interpretations of cases.
And it is...
Okay, tell me today, do you believe or not, as a former CAG, as a former police commissioner, and as a lawyer?
You can
That
deal
today
with all
the-
these problems of corruption under the normal law. You don't, a judge doesn't have to come and become
not
an
done that.
activist.
Oh,
Not done that.
See,
No.
and all these problems are being dealt with under the regular laws only.
Sir, are you saying there's nothing historic about 2G? There's nothing historic about the CBC judgment? There is nothing historic about the black money case? There is nothing historic about Kargil for profit?
I said initially itself that because this government or this political class is ridden with these scams and corruption charges and all that, you have given a free hand to the judiciary to step in and take that position.
Under the
And
law.
therefore, you
Under
feel
the
the
law,
common
under the
masses,
Constitution.
the common masses feel, well,
Under the
welcome.
Constitution,
At
not-
least there is a judiciary in which we can put our hope. Fine.
Not
But
adventurism, under the Constitution.
Or no,
They are
no one
doing all
has
that under
answered.
the
Oh, no,
Constitution.
no. No one has answered my question. What about the larger public interest of those cases which are pending for 20 years? Where is judicial activism then?
I've answered the question.
I will...
I've already answered the question by
already
saying
answered, I'll answer.
we need more judges.
Subramaniam Swami is responding to you. Go ahead.
Since Mr. Sundaram quoted the American Supreme Court, let me tell you that American Supreme Court in a whole year takes only 200 cases and rejects all the others. They don't have benches. The entire Supreme Court sits.
3 months
It gives 20 minutes to one side, 20 minutes to another side, and 10 minutes to reply. And then they go back into the chambers, decide,
But only
and
3
come
months
back
a year.
and make the announcement. Here, the lawyers speak because they are paid by the hour, so they speak for 10 days.
I think the longest arguments in the 2G case were by Mr. Swami.
No, but judges are not paid per hour for listening.
Arnab,
Very interesting.
Arnab, I have to add one point.
This is hitting below
I
the
think
belt.
Call is correct in highlighting that in this we shouldn't get away with the feeling in this debate that the judiciary is perfect, they are doing extremely well. No, there are clear areas the judiciary needs to intervene in the interest of the public, change procedures, bring technology, bring new systems, discipline lawyers, help the litigants. Litigants should know if he is happy to come to court rather than he is not running away. There is so much of perjury taking place. Every arbitration proceeding takes more than a regular case. There are huge areas of amendment to be done.
At the end of this debate, towards the end of this debate, I'm now asking both sides. I'm taking a 1 minute. By 1 minute, we'll just be quiet. In 1 minute, I want both sides to decide one example which they think, one case, one instance, one example, which they think will demolish the other side's argument. I give you 1 minute to discuss it among yourselves. When we come back, I'm going to get that one argument from both sides. You can discuss which one of you is going to represent it. Why don't you talk among yourselves here?
The onus is on them. They must produce an example. Then you will contradict.
So which, are you deciding?
The problem with answering Dr. Swami is he wears two hats. At times he's a lawyer, at times he's a politician. I don't know which one to answer.
Let me tell you, may I take 1 minute to tell you that there was a dispute between heaven and hell once because the hell was playing football and they broke the wall dividing the two. And the heaven people wanted to have the hell people build the wall. So they went to Brahma's court for dispute. The hell people brought the best lawyers. The heaven people couldn't find a single lawyer.
Now, is this side prepared with one argument? Yeah. While you listen to this argument, while you listen to this argument, one person puts the point of view. Please be all ears. Yes. The other side.
I'm going to go away from.
They have to be ready with.
I'm going to go away from 2G.
You have to have their attention.
And
first.
take
1 minute. You haven't got their attention yet. Yeah. Have you decided among yourselves?
Yes.
2 points of view, ladies and gentlemen. We presented. Both sides.
I would like to give an example of under trial prisoners in Bihar. They were under trial prisoners who had undergone their entire sentence and the case had not come up. It is because of the intervention of the Supreme Court that the lists were prepared and those prisoners were let off on their personal bonds. I would say this affected the entire judiciary, entire under trials. It's still not been remedied completely, but I would say this is an example. People who are forgotten in jails, who are poor, who are helpless, who have received benefit of a PIL.
One point.
Sir,
was
one example from me. RTI was resisted by the government till the Supreme Court directed the government to enact an RTI Act as being fundamental right of the citizens. Right. And that has been a great boon to our country. Okay.
Now, thank you. A round of applause for this side, please. Loud round of applause for this side. We've had a beautiful debate, fantastic debate. Now let's hear from you, because there were 2 points made on this side. I allow you to make 2 strong points, which you think will demolish Dr. Swami and his team.
I will make only 1 point, that the judiciary itself has not addressed the ills that prevails in the judicial administration system. Now you talked about one single case in Bihar where a judicial intervention saved a prisoner who was languishing in the jail for a long time.
Not a prisoner. Thousands of prisoners.
Sir, you come with me. I was Inspector General of Prisons of the Maharashtra state. You come to any central prison in any part of the country and I will show you hundreds of such prisoners are still languishing. This is one symbolic case, has not addressed the issue.
No, but then
you are condemning yourself.
Then you mentioned about large number of cases pending in the courts, etc. I don't think the judiciary itself has tried to solve this problem.
One more point.
Merely by complaining that you are short of judges is not going to help. Judiciary must come out with the proper reforms proposals so that these issues are addressed.
What about
one more thing about police. One more thing.
I gave you one point. Now you can't do that. You see.
He's a policeman. He's a law unto himself.
Sir,
one point.
When it is a professor, an advocate, a politician, and an activist, it's a deadly combination.
I have one more point. Adiman Sundaram wants to make one last point.
Yes. Yes. Arnab, I do not think any example is more crystal clear as to where judiciary has to draw a line than in a case where they say something has been illegally done and we are striking down what has been done, and they should stop there and say redo it as per law. But when the judiciary then turns around and says, from now on, the government and parliament shall deal in such and such a manner with a natural resource and only sell it in such a manner and none other, it is a clear case of impinging on executive and legislative powers. And I feel if that line is not crossed, if the judiciary sits as the watchdog which it is the watch to see against government wrong action, inaction, yes, but it cannot replace the government, it cannot preach and then it should be on the pulpit, it cannot equally legislate, for in that case they should stand for elections and go
See you in
Well,
court.
well, I see you in court, and ladies and gentlemen, I'd only say at the very end, as long as the judiciary defends liberty, everyone's liberty, its own, the citizens, as well as hopefully also that of the media, I think we will be looking forward to a good tomorrow. A big round of applause to our panelists today for this wonderful debate. And thank you very much for coming all the way.